We actually arrived to London yesterday from Stockholm just to meet with you. So thanks a lot for coming. We really appreciate it. And we have 24 minutes for this presentation. We are going to talk as fast as we can, and you guys need to be very focused. You can click. Yeah, I joined the Electrolux Group. It's a global Swedish manufacturing for lead for the team of developers who are responsible for building connectivity features. And when I say connectivity, I mean we have the oven, and the oven have a subset that connect to the connectivity cloud. And to provide our consumers like digital experience, we build as many services to support many different kind of features. So yes, that's me.
Yeah. I'm also coming from Stockholm, and my name's Gon. I'm the manager of SRE team. And I joined the Electrolux like 7 years ago, and before that I have around 15 years experience in the industry. And after I joined, I switched to SRE.
Yes, when I say connectivity features, what I mean, I just give you one example. Let's say you copy-paste the link from any internet resource for some recipe, then you insert this link into the app, and then our app adjusts it like with the AI assisted cooking to the to have the oven in the right mode with the right temperature, and then you don't need to be worried about your dish. Like it's an absolutely smooth experience. You don't need to really participate in cooking. That's the whole point.
Yeah, and from engineering side to make sure that our consumers having this smooth digital experience, we actually have a different text in the under the hood. As you can see, probably you recognize some of them.
Yeah, so when it started several years ago, it was a small team. And was it nice time to work in such a small team? There's one connectivity platform to build and 8 developers and 2 or 3.
Yeah, that was when I joined, and it's a very nice environment, but it didn't, to be honest, it didn't last very long, because when we start to see more and more features got launched, and then more production issues that we have.
But it was nice.
Yes. So for SRE, we're like 2 SREs at that moment, so we started to run into this kind of a firefighting mode. As we have our dev teams, we also have external stakeholders, they're not very technical people, so when they check their appliance or check their mobile phones, see some issues, they just come to us and ask, is cloud done? For them, everything is cloud. And of course, we understand it's just some kind of a minor issues or bugs, but we need to make sure that everything runs in a smooth way. And also for us, we are just at a starting point, so we don't really have a very good structured instance response. So we just write everything in Word and then distribute them into stakeholders later on through emails.
Yes, but it was like early when we just started to work this way. And here's just a statistic, how the amount of services grew along all of the time, and the amount of developers in our organization, how it grew. And then just let's look on the SRE line. And Gang, is it like you who hired all of these people in the statistic? Was it easy to hire a SRE engineer?
Yeah, it is. I'm not sure about your experience, but for us, it's really challenging to find good SRE, especially in Sweden. And of course, we have an APAC region as well, but it's very challenging. But that also means we need to find a way to survive, because we understand the business will keep growing, but we cannot keep growing our team. So here, as you can see, this is the real incident communication. Of course, screenshot shows our status page. So our stakeholders noticed the outage or operation issues from our status page, but just noticed the time. It is 4 a.m. And then it's like European time for SRE, where we don't work at all. So then...
Why?
Yeah, so we don't have this 24-hour on-call. But so this means for SRE team, even if we provide certain things for stakeholders, still incident is on our hands. And this is another postmortem from another incident, and this has actually happened after a big migration. After migration started in the afternoon, everyone was happy, signed off, everything looked good. But during midnight, we started to have this incident, and then as you can see, it's because the CPU usage, it reached the 100%, and you can see those drops is because SRE team is trying to find ways to resolve it, but in the end, we have to wait until developers, they come up and they started working at 8 a.m. Then they told us how to resolve it.
Yeah, because the developer team, like our team, work closer to the code. So this is obvious that we know better our services. But the incidents is one thing, but there is another thing. Like we ask SRE team to help us to troubleshoot. SRE ask us back. And then next thing that we ask to have a new infrastructure to spin up, new infrastructure for our services. And we ask you in direct messages.
So we have created a SRE channel in Slack. That is like one of the most popular channel today. And then this is to enhance the direct communication between devs and the SREs. But of course, this become more also like the fake way. They will direct message to us and ask, can we get something? Can we get more resources? Can we get a new region up and running?
And just imagine how long we should wait for it.
Yeah. So after this, we started to feel like, okay, we probably are the bottleneck. So what we can do is, okay, do more automation. Yes, we did automation. We did actually a lot of automation, but automation is really mainly used by SRE, not by developers directly. So it speeds up certain things, but still the bottleneck is on our side because we are still like quite a few engineers. And another thing that we feel like is, okay, developers we know that product team keeps launching new features. And then we don't have this direct communication. So we solve production issues. It's really challenging for us to figure out what is going on. And then this is why we don't feel like the right way. They launch features, instead we run their features, right? So this is not good. So then we started to think, okay, who actually owns product team? Is it product team or is it SRE team or is it shared responsibility? And to figure out the answer, we started to brainstorm.
Yes, and at that moment, I joined the SRE team, surprisingly. What a plot. I thought, okay, if I can bring this information, like the developer's pain point, and I can change the whole perspective because I know what do we feel and how do we feel, so I can really influence on how SRE team is going to operate. And yes, like how did you feel when I joined?
Yeah, when Kristina joined as a PM, as a product people, at the beginning we feel like a little bit weird because we run SRE, we run operation. Why do we need product? It makes more sense for consumer services, but we don't offer anything to consumers. But later on, we realized this is actually good because we are actually shifting from just scripting to more like platforms and later on product. That's what.
Yeah, but to me, you told that at least one more person can handle these communications. Yeah, I remember this still. Yes, the first thing that we tried to build is like this platform. You can return Phoenix back. So we named it as Phoenix because of this famous book, The Phoenix Project. I believe everyone read it. What is this platform? So previously, Gang showed you the scripts that were written by SRE team, but they've been used only by SRE team. So like developers, they have not this amount of knowledge just to go and just run the scripts on their own. So this was the first product we actually built, like this internal platform. And then I will show you how it works. Yes. So I don't know about your organization, but in our organization, just to find Kubernetes experts among developers, it's something not really realistic. But for a SRE person, like to create EKS, it's easy, right? So what we created in our platform, it is like completely UI-driven internal developer platform where you can just create resource from the UI. And from developers, the only minimal input is required just to put some variables, and then the EKS is going to be provisioned for them. So they don't need to be a Kubernetes expert for that, or if they need to create a database or whatever. So we provide them predefined templates, and then developers can use it. And those templates are basically the automation that we talked previously.
And here, as you can see, this is what's going on under the hood. So platform team or SRE team, we define the templates in code, and we also provide this platform. And developers just go to the platform more like a marketplace. They check what resources are available there. They pick up the resource they want. But behind that is different kind of templates with different versions. And then they fill in the options, what kind of configurations they would like to define. And in the end, platform started to provision infrastructure.
Yes, and you might recognize the UI. I think we can.
Yeah,
that's a backstage UI. But just let me stress on it. We do not use like Backstage on the backend. Backstage cannot do infrastructure management just out of the box. So the whole backend was like written by our SRE team. And here is just another sneak peek on what the platform does. As a developer, first of all, the first great feedback why we think it was a huge success, because developers said, okay, now we see the infrastructure. So it's not a black box. Okay, we have this tree view. They just adore the tree view. And they said, okay, this is the resources. So, okay, this is VPC, this is a networking. Okay, can understand now what is going on. And then we have metadata metrics from observability platform. They just embedded in here. So we have observability platform running like separately, but we just expose this information about this particular infrastructure. So we have like version management and audience. So you can go and check, okay, who from my team did the last change. And then of course we have approval flow. So engineer manager approves the changes, even if it's in production, because engineer manager is responsible for this digital product. And then cost observability, it's not the last thing. I just want to tell that it's not very common for like a development team or just even for SRE just to think about how much the running infrastructure costs, but then you just put it on like a similar space, then it's very developer centric, and it means that you can actually access this information, and you will not overlook if you deploy something and you have a spike. So that's why we thought it's great. Okay, but then from developer experience to
we know that developers, they don't only want infrastructures to support their applications. So what we need to provide is actually we later enhance our platform, so it will cover from infrastructure to the full life cycle. As you can see, this is the typical life cycle, and here we have provided the besides infrastructure, we also provided service management to manage their services.
Let's just give one example. So for example, if you write the code, you write the business logic. So like you just go to internal developer platform, you put the name, and then it will create the repo for you. It will create the pipeline. So as a developer, you are focusing on the business logic that you need to provide to the end user. So that's why we started also include service support.
Yeah, we also have our monitoring solution, observability SaaS vendors, and we have integration with them. So developers can see the metrics of their services directly from platform. They don't need to go to the other SaaS provider to check. And cloud cost, that's what Kristina already mentioned.
Yes, so for the overall summary, I can just say that developers, I really have a huge empathy for developers, because they always been asked like, okay, you should wear a Scrum Master hat, and now you also need to own production, right? It's not fair. You cannot just throw these responsibilities on developers. So what we've done is that we created a tool first, and we started to not to push this knowledge just in their head literally, but we started to say you can explore, you can try it out. It's a safe environment. Everything is bulletproof, because this is created by the people who sit in the same office as you, and they literally can explain and help you out with it. So this is the culture shift. Yes. And okay, as you can see in the timeline, there is a 3 years between 22 and 2025 when we really do platforms as a product. I will just get back to this famous SRE channel that we have, because this is the main source of information about what developers request from us, and to be proactive and build what they need, we use this is the main field to collect their communication. So we don't use direct messages at all. Then the second thing is a product roadmap, which we show to developers. It's the next product roadmap to show developers what we are going to build, so they understand what to expect from us, because sometimes developers also build some automation for their services, so do not have the overlap. Then we expose this information in product roadmap. Then the game days, we had this great chaos game day for our developers, just to help them to explore what kind of infrastructure is available. And it's, for example, we have our connectivity platform, then we have digital experience backend, and then people never actually touch each other products. We did a chaos with a capture flag approach, and this was another thing. Surveys, also very powerful thing. We do them not quite often. We do them once in 4 months, just to ask, okay, were you ever blocked by a SRE team? How do you feel? And in our organization, we only one team who does the surveys. How do you feel about how we work? And we do developers interviews after we launch some product, after we launch infrastructure management solution that we showed. We ask, okay, what is missing? What you are afraid of? And things like that. And then we also we did 3 office hours before, because people reach out to us. Okay, we want to talk. We don't want to write in the SRE channel. And then if you want to talk, it's like many meetings along the week. And instead of this, we just dedicated 1 hour when people can come to us and ask. And we do marketing research a lot before we buy or build a solution, like in-house solution. We do market research just to explore what market is offering. And we do demo, of course. This is very common. I think everyone should do the demo. And I want to show you the very first open source project that we created at Electrolux Group, which is 100 years old, Swedish company. And we did open source there. Just imagine how hard it was. Yes, and this is a FinOps solution, just to show you how much it costs to run your infrastructure. It's aggregation from all the clouds. You can go and check it out if you want. It's a plugin for Backstage if you use Backstage. But again, can we just... Yeah, this is our downloads. We have like thousands of downloads. We feel very popular. But again, can I ask you, before we switch to another one, can I ask you why we do open source?
There are two things that we think we should move towards open source way. Since we faced the challenge, we looked into the market and we didn't find a good solution. That's why we started to build our own. But we think this can be the same problem for other companies. So we open source it. We will get feedback from other companies, and this will help us to improve our solution. And the other thing is for our team members, for our engineers, when they switch to open source, they started to think in different ways, because if we don't do open source, they will probably propose something only customized for our organization. And then that won't work for other organizations or even within Electrolux. But with open source, people started to think much broader. They try to abstract the problem and try to find a generic solution.
Totally. Yes, and also when we ask our developers, how do you feel when you build open source? They say it feels so nice to build something that's very generalized. And like from my product manager perspective, I want to be honest, it's much easier when people just say, okay, we want to have another integration, like we want also cost observability for, I don't know, Databricks. Then you are not blocked by our team. You are free to go. It's open source solution. You can build this integration. Just read the code. What do you want to take this one? It's like very great product.
So this is another small product, I would say small product we use internally. It's not open source yet, but it will be open source later on. So basically what it does is if AWS Service Screener is an open source tool provided by AWS, it will scan your infrastructure. But our problem is we have hundreds of AWS accounts. So how are we going to aggregate all the results together? And the InfoSec is the solution here that aggregates all the scanning results so you can see everything in one picture.
Yes, there is another one. We call it Infra Assistant. So let's get back to this SRE channel. People ask us about infrastructure, and like those infrastructure-related questions needs to be answered by a human. But when AI was like a thing, like when it launched basically with OpenAI thing, like that, it was 2023, and our team started to explore what we can do. So we created this multi-AI agent that answer the questions and also can execute tasks like you can see on the screenshot. But if you want to learn more about that, then you join tomorrow's talk, and our engineers, our team members are going to talk about it much deeper. Okay, infrastructure management.
Yeah, so back to the infrastructure. So it's still our root. So after we launched our infrastructure module to our internal developers, we get two kind of feedbacks. One is good, they like it because
95%.
Yeah, it's because everything is standardized. But we also have a very skilled developers. They would like to design their own infrastructure, basically bring your own template. And then our approach didn't work. So we started to think about this, and we started to actually to build another project called the Info Kitchen. And this one is more like code-driven, that you can bring your own template with your own infrastructure as code language. And then it will, based on your code, it will actually to generate the UI, and then the other users can reuse your template.
Yeah, so Infra Kitchen is like a cook your own infrastructure concept, and it still works for those developers who are very junior and they're just afraid to go and even apply. But it allows those developers who are more advanced to go and define this template for those junior developers, which is making me super amazed because of this culture shift happened not as like even deeper than we expected, even more left. And where's left? They want to be, instead of us like doing this job, they want to predefine these models. They have a curiosity about it. So this is like the great thing about the Engr kitchen. And how do we measure the results? Okay, I have 3 minutes for that. Amount of service requests, obviously, because we don't want to do only support. We want to do products, we want to do platforms. And we see the big drop compared with the past years, but also the quality of this response and the way how do we work with them. First question our SRE engineers ask themselves is it provided by the platform? Can developer do it with the platform? If it's not provided by the platform, what can we do to enable developers to do it on their own, to be independent from us? So this is the great metric, I would say. And then how long it would take to deliver a new service and create a new resource. So previously, if they needed to wait for us, now it's a clicks. So it's just days against minutes. So this is quite obvious one. And then how long it take to identify the issue. So with the chaos engineering we did, and with all this collective effort, when the developers understand infrastructure better and we have the platform for communication, so we understand each other better, it obviously influence a lot. So we ended up with something like around 70% change with the time. And then all of this actually summarized with a good rate of developer experience, which I believe is the most important metric. Let's summarize.
Yes, this is the journey that we have gone through. We started very small, but we ran into this kind of firefighting mode, which was like a nightmare for SRE team. Started more automation and we received better result, but then after Kristina joined, we started to go as platform.
Yes, because we took this automation and just create product out of it, so it would not be hidden, and it's we created a lot of traffic on that. So we delivered another talk with Gang on another event, and on this event, we met some guys and they asked, okay, we also built a lot of automation. We also built this FinOps solution thing, but people do not use it. So yeah, unfortunately, you need to advertise it and you need to attract people, you need to collect the feedback, and then it will become very useful. So that's, I think, the whole thing about the product as a platform approach. And we started to provide these reusable models and provide it in self-service mode, and afterwards we switched, and actually in June 2024 we released the first Engr wallet open source solution, and yes, the rest is going to be open source soon.
Yeah, we started with SRE, which is still our root, but later on we adopted platform engineering to solve this scaling issue, and which we have seen is now very good result from this. So what this means is we hire SRE as an engineer, but we couldn't hire more because of the market is challenging, and also we're not allowed to scale the same as a business. But to resolve this, by utilize platforms, we are switching from engineers to engineering, because platform developers started to know about SRE as engineering, and they are able to actually now run their products on their own without SRE.
So yes, the whole approach is not a centralized SRE team, but the more distributive and proactive approach to give developers the knowledge. And oh my gosh, this is the time. But instead of this, we do platform engineering, not because it's a buzzword or something. For us, it was just embed the 3 principles inside of the platform. Yes, you can connect with us if you want to talk more about the SRE builds and platform engineering. And just yes, and then 5 minutes for the question. Just a second. There is an open source Electrolux GitHub. So we are going to do more open source, and the Engr Kitchen is going to be open source soon. And there's a dedicated LinkedIn page for this.
That's a question.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for being focused.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. It was actually quite interesting to see how you transformed the organization, but maybe I missed it. Can you maybe share how all of this actually happened? What was the kickoff? Basically, all this work have to be funded. All this work have to be prioritized. Someone had to put a budget to hire Kristina to be a member of SRE. So what was the driver for that, and who kind of sponsored this in your organization?
Yeah, so since I was hired, I need to answer that, partially at least. I already worked at Electrolux as a lead for connectivity team So I just moved to another team, basically, because in digital experience organization, it previously was called digital product organization. The whole idea was that it's a pioneering organization for introducing the product approach for the whole group. So everything should be the product. Like cybersecurity, you do cybersecurity, you have clients, you need to do it as a product. You do QA, you do it as a product. When the position was open, I just thought the great opportunity to bring developers' perspective and their pain points into SRE team. So I thought together we can tackle this challenge.
Sil?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. SRE conference, how is keep SRE? My question is, we are on the same problem. It looks like serverless, but servers still there. And I guess the problem in that we treat the SRE team as a service team. This brilliant slide with a lot of Slack messages, but SRE is not a point SRE to create something. And the question is, how you change after you switch to the platform, how you change the flow for the SRE itself. So what is the point SRE now in a company? Yeah.
So SRE in the past is more like focusing on more like production operations, probably as you said. But now our team got renamed as well to platform team. So we still have a SRE responsibility, but now it's more platform driven. So with developers, they can still reach out to us, and the channel is still called SRE. We still answer the same questions. But with those questions, we put them into automation and offer them as a platform. So once they come, they ask once, but they don't ask again because they know, okay, next time when I have the SIN, then that is platform that I should use. And even with the AI assistant, people started to ask a few questions because the AI assistant actually will help them to understand this is actually the issue that you should look into.
Yeah, so in the SRE channel, it's more like now you have a bug in Infra Kitchen, can you fix? So bug in the platform, rather than just overall like a SRE related question.
One more. Thank you for the talk.
So building your own internal platform team may make sense for a 100-year-old company that has very specific domain, but companies obviously need to start small and then grow over time. So what do you recommend for sort of startups, for instance? Should they just be using things like Superbase and Vercel and Firebase and all this sort of platform offered as a service, the PaaS systems, before jumping to maybe once they're a bit bigger and they've got more money to invest in building their own internal platform? If that makes any sense.
Yes, I think so. I mean, as a startup, I think the priority is to push delivery, right? You need to ship something that you don't want the end users to try and provide feedbacks. So yes, instead of hiring a platform, you should start utilizing existing from market or maybe from open source. There are also like very good open source solutions in the market.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.